Hello, thanks for coming. I'm really glad that you're here today. I see we have a few people already, and thank you so much for coming. So I am doing my new setup with multiple cameras, and now you can see me, and I'm going to show you the top-down view, and I can also show you stuff from my computer screen. And I have a microphone for the first time, and so this is very, very exciting for me. This is great. I can't wait to show you. So hopefully you all can hear me pretty well. Please do, hey Helen, leave a note in the comments if you cannot, and let me know, because this is my first live run through. And for a couple select people, when I was testing in my pajamas on Saturday, you may have caught a 30-second clip of me that accidentally went live when I was testing. So, but I took it down. But if you got to see that, wow, that was a treat, wasn't it? Anyway, my name is Kelly Vaughn, and as always, I'm going to be talking about my favorite knitting book. It's called Number Knitting. It's by Virginia Woods Bellamy. It was published in 1952. It's based on her correspondence course that she sent to knitters around the world, all about garter stitch and modular knitting. And her patent had 7 different shapes on it: square, rectangle, triangle, divided square, single and double wing. And she is a genius, and I'm so grateful that she left us such a great legacy in her book. Anita says it sounds good. That's what I want to hear. Awesome. So I learned recently that the book only had 5,000 copies printed, and it was only printed once. Anyway, so if you're one of the lucky people that has a hardback version of this, that is awesome. I did spend, in 2015, 16, 17, I did spend quite a bit of time, many hundreds of hours, scanning the whole book, digitizing the whole book, and running optical character recognition, and making it totally accessible with bookmarks and searchable and all that, so it's super easy to use. And so now I always carry my copy, my ebook version of Number Knitting on my phone. And for the first time in Number Knitting history, I'm gonna finally get to show it to you. So let me bring it up, so you can, for the first time, see why I am so excited about this. And let me open it up. Whoop. So we're optimized. There we go. And I've got it up. And I'm going to show you my computer screen. Bam! Oh, that's so exciting. And I know that, like, I work on the computer for a living, but as far as like the whole camera thing with audio, that's like way out of my wheelhouse. And so my loving husband Steve he's making this possible, which is awesome. Oh, and also, I think, bam! Check that out. Picture in picture, baby. Yay! Okay, so let's show you the book. This is the Number Knitting book, and when I scanned it, I did all of it. Like, I did the dust jacket, I did the green cover, I did all of it, because I thought it's really important. It's important to capture the whole thing. And so the ebook version has got all the pages, including the back cover, and some great cookbook recommendations there if you want some vintage books. Incidentally, I have read this book, The Bride's Encyclopedia. It's awesome and hilarious. And so if you want to learn about vintage cleaning methods and vintage makeup methods, totally check out The Bride's Encyclopedia. You can get it through an interlibrary loan, which is really cool. Okay, so here we're going to go down to the introduction, and you can see, if you're not familiar with using Acrobat or Adobe Reader. I'm using Adobe Acrobat, but the user interface is going to be similar between Acrobat and Reader. And so over on the left-hand side, there's like this bar, and you click on it, and it pops out just a little bit. And then you've got your pages, your page thumbnails, you've got bookmarks, and these are the main divisions within the book that I keep talking about: how to number knit, number knitting in flat design, costume design for children, costume design for men and women, to the adventurous knitter, and some original designs. And all of the major sections within the book, I added bookmarks to all of them. And so you can just like pop open the table of contents and easily navigate to where you want to go. And the whole thing is totally keyword searchable. So if I do a Command F or Control F, and lately I've been working a lot on a pattern called the copper cardigan. So I can just do a search for the word copper cardigan, and it's going to pre-populate over here with, and it's mentioned a couple times. It starts on page 216, and the next instance of it is in the TOC, the table of contents. And so if I click the next button again, that's going to take me to like the next instance of it. But now that I'm in the right page in the book, I can simply click down to the next page, and there it is. And it's just, it makes it so easy to use. And all these, like the searching capability, it totally works on the phone too, which is killer. I no longer have to try to do this and show you, and I'm talking from the book, because I can just show you the ebook version on the screen. It's great. So I've had, the reason the ebook is $74.99 is because I added all of that stuff with the tables of contents and the searchability and the bookmarks, and I also went through and I colorized a whole bunch of photos, and so it makes it really easy to use, and so that is available in the KnitSwag shop. Okay, so let's talk a bit about. I found some more research recently from my my kind of archives. One of my early number knitting friends sent me some articles that he got from, he purchased a hard copy from, I think, eBay, and in his hard copy was like a couple printouts from a couple of old magazines from the 1950s when Virginia first published this book. So I want to show you that. Let's go back to the computer screen. So this is from Handweaver and Craftsman, I think. I'm not entirely sure of the magazine article, but it's a whole article all about number knitting, and I think it was actually, it was written in Virginia's voice. And a lot of this is very similar to the introduction of the book. And this hooded butterfly pattern is in the number knitting book, as is this this like octagonal stole, also in the number knitting book. And you can see right on the cover of the book it's that hooded butterfly pattern. Because sometimes, like, some patterns in the book, like this one, I think, the pattern is not in the book, even though it's on the cover of the book. But in this case, this Handweaver, this Craftsman Handweaver article it's a great little article. I think it's only 2 pages. Oh, and there's a third one. Let me show you that. I think this is from a different magazine. Hold on. I'm new to this. There we go. All right, so here is Virginia again. She's knitting on her gigantic needles. Hoyle's, she was working on Hoyle's Garden Stair, and that is a pattern in the book. It's very cool because it's done in mitered squares, but it's a corner-to-corner pattern. Let me show you that real quick. It's just spectacular. All right, so we're going to go back to the book, do a search for Hoyle's Garden Stair. There we go. And so here's what Hoyle's Garden Stair looks like. It starts in the corner and then it moves back and forth, kind of like on a diagonal. And this is the chart for it. Yeah, so if we go back to the article, again, you can see, you can read the article from Virginia and talking about the progress of it. So these were more like promotional articles within within some magazines. I had kind of I kind of lost those in my archives for a couple of years, and so it's happy that it's exciting for me that I found them again, because I've been doing some more like historical research with regard to number knitting, and so all the things I've collected over the years, like newspaper articles and magazines articles and whatnot, they're kind of like squirreled away all over different parts of my computer, but now I'm finally kind of reining them in and giving them a proper spot. Mishibi asks, is costume akin to clothing in today's vernacular? Yes, it absolutely is. And so the items in, let me show you some of the items in the book for the costume design. I'll go back to my my number knitting book again, show you the screen. And so if we go over here to the bookmarks panel and we go to costume design for children, you can see that there's like cute little hats and sweaters and things. Let's do that. There we go. There we go. Okay, so there's little like two-piece suits, and there's hats, and there's jackets in various configurations. Some of them are just made on squares, and some of them are made on more complicated shapes, like mitered squares. She has a whole bunch of them just on squares. But here's one, the seamless suit for either sex. So she'll use some adapted units. Sometimes they're mitered squares, but like with chunks taken out, and then she'll throw in some rectangles. And so it's pretty interesting the way that she's done it. And just like in the adult book, the adult clothing, where you see the needle sizes changing, she also does that with the children's, like these boys' pants. If you look right here, the blue color coding that I did indicates that uses a different needle size. And so around the crotch area and around the waist area, she has to use a different needle size to kind of cinch that in. And incidentally, sometimes there's mistakes. Like you can see that this unit 13 here, it's supposed to be worked on the same size as this, but like I think it's a mistake, but I haven't knit these and I don't have a kid to try them on. And so I don't know, maybe it would make sense to have like one of the waistband units not in the smaller size. I don't know. But sometimes there's little things that kind of come up that it's, this is why we have to reknit them all to find out like why certain decisions were made, because sometimes like she doesn't always explain her decisions. She'll just say this is how you do it, but like not necessarily include the rationale behind it. And so I mean, it's at first glance it's like it's really, really easy, like I think too easy to just like skip over stuff that she just like tosses in there very, very nonchalantly. And then it's really easy to miss. Anyway, all right, so let me see where, okay, so let's talk about McCall's Needlework 1946. So I've been working with Stephanie on the Hampton cardigan. Let me bring that up. And if you remember from, I think I have a picture of it here. If you remember from, top-down view. Now, is this showing, hold on, is this showing upside down for you guys? It is, isn't it? How's that? Is that better? Obviously, this is day one. Okay, I think that's right. If this is upside down to you, let me know. So this was the Hampton cardigan, and this was the only picture of it that we have, and we pulled it off of I think there was an article in Piecework magazine a few years ago about it, and there was 2 other sweaters that went with it, and that we don't have patterns for. And I thought, wouldn't that be, hey DJ, wouldn't that be so cool to like recreate this? And so I did my best to put together a chart for it. And then Stephanie, one of our great test knitters, she knitted up, and we kind of went back and forth, like, you know, trying to figure out like what in the world is going on, because this is literally all that we have to work with. We don't have a physical piece. We don't have any instructions. And so Stephanie has done a really great job on that. And let me show you her, what she has come up with based on this picture and the chart that I made for her. And so she just did a phenomenal job with all of this. We had to rework the collar and the button band especially a bit, but I think for the most part we captured it. And we do have to do some tailoring on the sleeves. Like these sleeves are a little bit too wide, and they seem less wide in the original picture. But what here's the original picture for reference. So what I'm really excited about is I was going through some of my old scans again, and I found now that I've got my documents kind of more corralled into to the proper place, so I know where in the world to find them. Let me show you the picture that I came up with, that I found recently on my computer. Here we go. So at some point in time, I'm not entirely sure when, I found, oh wait, there we go. That should be right side up. I'll get that camera fixed for next time, so that, anyway, it's upside down to me, but it's right side up to you. So I was looking through my files, and I found this, and it was in a folder marked McCall's Needlework 1946. There we go. And I thought, that's interesting, because this picture is of this sweater. This is the same sweater. It's got those cute little peplums on it. There we go. As does this one. Cute little peplums. And this is the only pattern I've ever seen Virginia do that has little peplums. And when I saw it, I gasped, because I knew, like, this is what I've been looking for. And the way that she sold her patterns, because this was 1946, the book was published in 52, so this was before she published the book. And so she was selling her patterns kind of like individually through McCall's Needlework magazine. And the way that they would do it is she would have, throughout the magazine, kind of like sprinkled in, there'd be these pictures of these great models and the pieces, and like a whole lot of mini kind of article talking it up. And then it would say, you know, refer to page, you know, whatever for the coupon code. And then you take this thing, this little, you see that? You take that coupon and you clip it out and you mail it back to them with, I don't know, 50 cents or $1 or whatever it was. It was 25 cents. And this is pamphlet number 2 for 5 designs by Virginia Bellamy, for which I enclose 25 cents. And so you mail them 25 cents and this coupon, and they mail you back a pamphlet. Okay, so this is the first time I've seen that. This is for pamphlet number 2. And I just realized that we still don't have the chart for this. I was so excited that, oh my gosh, this is the pattern that I had requested from, because I requested, I think last week, a scan from the University of Illinois at Chicago, from their Rare Manuscripts archive, a copy of Number Knitting Pamphlet number 1. And I don't know what's in it. And it's the only copy like recorded on the face of the planet, but they're sending it to me. And I think it's like $2 a page or $6 a page or something. Anyway, they're going to send me a copy, but it's just for number 1. But now that I look at this magazine article closer, this is for pamphlet number 2. So I still am not going to have the charts, the charts for these. So I'm going to have to be on the hunt again for some other McCall's Needlework magazines, because I think if memory proves correct, I think what they would do is they would, in a single issue of a McCall magazine, they would put, some of the patterns, and then you'd mail away for a pamphlet. So obviously, if this one represents the second pamphlet, she did it before, and so we need to find out where that. I need to find out which copy of McCall's Needlework magazine has the pictures of what's in number 1, and then buy a copy of it. Incidentally, I just ordered on eBay, I think, a McCall's, I think this is August, it's either August or summer 1946, and it's coming. It's coming, it should be here in just a few days, that should be really fun. But I don't have it yet, and it's not going to include, it's not going to include the patterns I think it will, if that makes sense. Anyway, I'm learning. This is quite a research project for me. So let me show you the, because I was working on these charts with Stephanie, so I want to show you the kind of the progression that we came through. All right, so here is those. All right, let's zoom in a bit. Now the first iteration of this chart is, it's on the left-hand side, and that's kind of how there it is. Oh, the buttons are flipped on my little switcher thing. That's why it kept bouncing in the wrong spot. Okay, so this first iteration was how it probably would have been presented in the original chart, and how Bellamy did her numbering with the needle sizes. It's very, very, very similar to the copper cardigan, which incidentally I have been kind of working on at the same time as Stephanie was working on the Hampton cardigan. And so the needle sizes were kind of like designated off to the side here. And so you use, number 8s here, and then number 10s for the body portion. But then there was like this whole other numbering scheme for the sleeves. And so you go 9, 8, 6, 5, and so forth. So the sleeves have one numbering line for the needle sizes, and the body has another numbering size. And this is very confusing. I mean, I get it now because I drew the chart, but like for anyone else coming in, this would probably be like, what the what? Like, what on earth is going on here? Because most modern knitting charts, they're not going to have you use more than one knitting size, like knitting needle size. I mean, like 1 or 2 sizes down for the ribbing, and the rest is going to be like 1 size, right? You just change your stitch count. And Bellamy didn't work like that. She was like, stitch count stays the same. So change the needle size, which changes the gauge, and it's a different way of doing things that people aren't accustomed to. So when I was working on the kind of like redrawing all the charts and working through and colorizing all the photos and like just wrapping my head around this book, I thought, wouldn't it make more sense if I use different colors to represent the different needle sizes? And I showed you that a little bit earlier in the seamless pants for the boys, and like the blue shapes were one color and one needle size, and the yellow represented a different needle size. But when there's more than 2 needle sizes, I was trying to really hard to figure out how to represent that, and I think I did it here. So let me just make this a bit bigger so you can see it. And so down here is a key, and it's got 5 different needle sizes, and I color coded each one. And it might be like, for someone that doesn't have a color printer, or like, yeah, if you don't have a color printer, I mean, everyone's got a phone now, so you could just like print it out and put it, just save it on your phone. But some people really like they like having a printout. And so this might make it a little bit more challenging, but I think it gives a pretty good like visual representation of what needle sizes go where. Like the needle sizes around the wrists are going to be smaller, progressively smaller as you go down the arm. And in the bust area, the needle sizes are going to be bigger, and then down at the waist they're quite a bit smaller, so that it adds some tailoring to the garment just by changing the needle size. And this is still the in progress chart. I think we need to rework, now that I've seen the picture from now that I've seen this picture with the peplums, it helps me to understand that the way that I charted it was not quite right. It's not a divided triangle. I mean, it could be. It could be, but like how the divided triangle, it like really pops out. And hers, I think, are a little bit more subtle, and I'm not exactly sure how she did the shaping yet. So we're still working on it. But this has been a really fun experimental archaeology project because, first of all, Stephanie's a really great tester, and she's like super disciplined, and I'm not quite so disciplined when it comes to like blocking and swatching and like washing before I measure and like all of that. Like that's not. I could do better. I should do better, but I just want to get to knitting, and that's my downfall. It's one of my downfalls with knitting because I struggle in that area. So on that note, I remember a couple weeks ago, if y'all were here, I had like this whole saga about, I went on this road trip for like a week to a place that doesn't have any yarn shops. I went to Florida for a week. It didn't have any yarn shops, and I brought like half of the wrong needle sizes with me, and I was so annoyed at myself. And then I had to go to Walmart and get like Lion Brand knitting needles, and they just weren't what I was used to, and I was just like frustrated. And they only had one size, and I was just like frustrated by the whole experience. Well, then a couple of days ago, I figured out what in the world I did to totally screw up. And it's not, I mean, it is entirely my fault because I'm the knitter. Like, it's not like someone else measured the needles for me. I did it with my tools and my needle gauges, and it's all my fault. But I feel now like I have a better understanding of what in the world happened. All right, so let me show you what I've got going on here. Okay, so sometime back in the 80s, when I was a kid, people would give me their, let's put me up here. There we go. They would give me their tools, like, somebody had like old scratchy acrylic that they'd had since the 70s, like, oh, give it to Kelly, she could use it. And of course, I would. And then, like whatever, like if somebody in the family died and they had like all these needlework supplies, then, like give them to Kelly. And so I like had this odd assortment of like everything from bobbin lace tools to punch lace and like all these random like mismatched crochet hooks and knitting needles. And like, it was great. It was great for a kid. in that collection of things was this. And I'm pretty sure that's where I got it, because it doesn't have a brand name on it. It just says made in the USA. I don't ever recall buying either one of these. Pretty sure both of them were given to me. And I've just kind of like used them over the years. I always keep one in my little zippered crochet hook thing, pouch. And then I keep one with like all of my knitting needles in like the, you know, the flip open case, because I liked fixed circulars. And so that's like, I have one for each place. But here's where I ran into some problems. So when I was measuring for which needle sizes I needed, I grabbed this and I started measuring, and that was my issue. So let's see what happened. This is a size 8. I got it a week and a half ago at Walmart. It's brand new. It's a Lion brand. It said number 8 on the package. And so if I take this and I test it, yep, well, it's close. It doesn't quite fit. This is a Susan Bates. You can buy these in any yarn shop. Here, if I go to size 8, it fits absolutely perfectly. Yes. But if I take the same needle and I go here, it doesn't quite fit. Nope, doesn't really fit. And so it fits loosely in the 9. It doesn't really fit in the 8, which is odd. So then I've got these. These are also from Walmart. They're Lion brand, size 9 is what it said on the package. And so I go here to this one. This is a size 9. Yep, fits perfect. I go over here to this other needle gauge. It doesn't fit. And this needle gauge, it reads as a size 10. Like, what the heck? All right, so I was measuring my tools with the wrong needle gauge. Apparently this is totally inaccurate. Totally inaccurate. So then I have this is my copper cardigan that I've been working on, and I don't have like a huge awesome, I mean I do have a huge and awesome knitting needle collection, but I don't like have every size in every length. And I've kind of gravitated more in the last few years to like, I love 16-inch circulars, 20-inch circulars, because mostly I knit modular stuff, and it's easier. Okay, so this was the size 10 that I've been using for this pattern. Yep, fits. It's a size 10. It totally fits. But when I measure it in here, I go to 10, it doesn't fit. So in this needle gauge, it measures as a size 10.5. So that was frustrating. And the reason I figured this out was because a few days ago, I decided I don't want to keep knitting little modular squares that are like 4 inches wide and do it on a 30-inch long circular. Like, what a pain. Because, you know, it's like, it's floppy, and it was annoying. And so I grabbed these needles and this little stitch needle marker, and I tested it out. I was looking for a size 10, and it's too big for a 9. And I was like, oh, okay, it's a 10. And so that's what I started knitting with. But it's not a size 10. If I take it to the actual accurate knitting needle gauge, this is like a size, if there's such a thing as an 8.5, this is it. So this is like it's like a 9. And so all of that to just say that I encourage you to get like a real accurate stitch gauge thing, because if you have like something that's old and unbranded and you have no idea where it came from, like, who's telling that this could have been from the 60s and it's totally inaccurate. And I think I'm just going to make it a bookmark now, but just be careful. And once you choose some needles for your project, I would recommend for that project sticking with the same needles, because I have these are Prims. They're like ergonomic needles. Can you see them? They have like this little bendy thing in them, and they're plastic, and they have like these little tapered kind of a nub things on the tips, which I love. I love these needles. And they've also got like this great braided cable, and they're smooth, they're awesome. They're my favorite needles. I love them. But they have a different texture. They're like a little bit more grippy than these guys. And so, you know, choose whatever needle that you need to for your project. Like, you wouldn't want something that's like super grippy if you're knitting mohair. Like, that'll make you miserable. But whatever needle that you choose for your yarn in that project, I would highly recommend using the same one, because otherwise your tension is going to change, and that's just going to goof things up. I did want to show you, let me bring it up real quick. There was a, if you've ever heard of Woolly Thoughts, Woolly Thoughts is a website by Pat and Steve Ashforth. And I've mentioned that book in the past. They did a really great knitting book all about modular knitting. They're math teachers in the UK, and they aimed their book at teaching school children math via knitting. It's awesome. So let me show you this. There we go. So I remember chatting with Pam a few years ago. Pam passed, but no, Pat. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, Pat. She passed away a few years ago. But when she was alive, she was a huge contributor to the knitting community, and she collected needle gauges, and she had probably hundreds of them. And there's this whole page she put together all about different sizes of needle gauges, different types, like manufacturer, different everything. And I'll put a link to this in the description. But I just thought, like, because we're, as you know, Americans, we're used to this, right? This is pretty normal. And a lot of shops will make their own, like on the laser machines or the CNC machines now, and that's very cool. You know, it's very exact. But these old ones, I mean, you just never know, like what they really represent. And for a long time, I don't think there was standard sizing. I know that metric sizing is a lot more, it's more accurate than the American, like 1 through 15 sizing, like with the actual millimeters. It's much more accurate than US sizing. And this one does have both. It's got the millimeters and the US sizing, and it's also got the crochet hook designation on there, which is really helpful. And this one just has US sizing, and it's not even accurate. So, okay, so on the topic of being accurate, let's talk about this. Okay, so this is Copper Cardigan. And Rose said, oh, Anita asked, can the difference be the difference between British and USA inches? Is there a difference in British and USA inches? I don't think so. Pretty sure it's imperial. Pretty sure an inch is an inch. Yeah. I know that the British uses the UK. It uses millimeters as opposed to just like standard US sizes. As far as like what caused this whole thing, I think that it was just poorly manufactured, honestly. And then Rose said, short of getting needles from a matching company, there are variations in sizes due to tolerance allowance by company. That makes sense. It does. But I would just recommend you either like maybe stick with like a set. Like if you have the interchangeables. I'm not a huge fan of interchangeables. I want to love them, and I need to start working with mine more, but I misplaced them, and they're somewhere buried in my yarn, and I haven't gotten to them lately. But I need to start using those more because they're the Likes, and they're really smooth. I don't use them because I bought them on a whim. Well, I asked them for Christmas on a whim, and I never used interchangeables before, and I didn't realize at the time that that they came with like different cable lengths. And so apparently the set that I have is like the longest cable length. It's just is really long. And you know, when I only need a 16-inch circular and I've got like, you know, 30 inches of cable to wrestle with, it was just a little discouraging. So I need to probably just get some shorter cables, and that would be, then I'd love my interchangeables as much as I should. I put it on my list of things to do. Rose says a Chinese inch is different than a US inch. Huh. And she says, I would say millimeters is more accurate. I have 3 crochet hooks saying they are 6 millimeters and they range from 5 to 8. That is very interesting. I'm going to have to read up on that, on like what the variation is between different units of measurement in different countries. That would be really good. That would be a really good research project. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Okay, so if you are like any responsible knitter and you follow the instructions and you do your swatch at least, you know, 4 to 6 inches wide, and then you wash it and maybe even block it, or at least wash it and let it dry, you are responsible, and I aspire to be that responsible. I'm not, however. I just want to get to knitting, and so my desire for washing and blocking, like, I'll just wing it, you know, and then of course, like, my stuff doesn't fit the way I want. Of course, because that's the story of my life. Sorry for the noise. Okay, so I thought, I'm working on this copper cardigan, and I thought it would be interesting to do some measurements. So let's take a look at this. So I've got this copper cardigan. This is, this portion of it is knit on size 10, real size 10 needles, not the fake size 10 needles that are too small, like real size 10s, US size 10. And this measures, this one square, it measures 4.5 inches horizontally, right? And then it also measures 4.5 inches vertically. But if you measure it at different points, like where it's connected here, it's only 4 inches. This is why it's important to make an accurate gauge swatch and to wash it first, because you just never know. These squares, you see how this one, it kind of like, it points out a bit, but where it's connected to the other squares, it kind of like, it has a tendency to tuck in. And so I'm kind of thinking, like, if you really wanted to be really accurate and responsible with your knitting, when you knit a mitered square, don't just knit one. Like, I would say maybe knit 4 of them, like connected together, and you can see how they behave once this thing is put together. Like here, this top to bottom measures 8.5 at this point. Then I measure this way, and it's like 8 3/4. And I'm not entirely sure if this thing is going to fit me yet. I don't know, but I know it's going to fit somebody, and that's more important than it fitting me. It's going to fit a tall friend, I think. So anyway, I behoove you to be more responsible than me and do an accurate gauge swatch instead of just like casting on 10 stitches and, you know, knitting for 20 minutes and eyeballing it and calling it good, like while it's still on the needles. Don't do that. Don't be like that. Do better. Be like Stephanie. Oh dear. And wash your gauge swatch first, because yeah, that'll keep all the surprises away from you. Like, I can't tell you how many times I'm like, I don't need a gauge swatch. I've been knitting for like over 30 years, maybe 40 years, like, I got this. And then, you know, if I'm like a quarter of a stitch off over the course of like a whole garment, I mean, it's disastrous. I knit a sweater once where I eyeballed my gauge and I was like pretty sure it was good. And no joke, this, here it is. I love this sweater, by the way. It stretches to fit. Just so you can laugh with me about this. This is the Hampton cardigan. Oh no, not Hampton cardigan, Hampton shirt for women. This thing is 11 inches wide. But it stretches. It stretches really big. And so it's like a belly shirt. But this is because I eyeballed my gauge, and I should have done better. I know part of the problem is that like a lot of the sweaters Bellamy uses like 4, 5, 6 different needle sizes on. And sometimes she'll say, check gauge using the biggest needle size. And sometimes she doesn't tell you what needle size to use to check the gauge. And so it's like, I don't know, like just like the middle needle size. I did that once and I ended up with a sweater that was like 4X. And like I'm small, and it was massive, and I had to rip it out, and I got so discouraged. That knitting, I think I had it up on Yarn Pond. And so I had a bunch of testers working with me, and they're like, this sweater used 12 skeins of yarn. And I was like, oh my gosh. I guessed wrong on which needle size to use to check gauge. So I'm learning so much. All right, so we're at 6. Rose says, sometimes vertical testing after dry is sometimes a really good thing. I have heard about that. And somewhere in one of my knitting books, I don't remember which one, it talked about a dressed gauge. And they had like a good sized swatch, and they hung it up on something like, clipped, hangers. And then they put a couple of weights on the bottom of it just to like kind of stretch it out. Because if you think about it, if you have a sweater on, the whole weight of the garment is going to be hanging off of the stitches at the shoulders. And I know sometimes knitters will like reinforce the shoulders with like crochet chains or whatever, but like the whole, like if you really want to get an accurate idea of how this part is going to stretch out, hang it up with some weight on the end of it and then measure. That will really tell you what it's going to look like, gauge wise after like you're all said and done. Oh, Anita, this is a great tip. She says to get the miters to square up straight, pick up the first stitch in the corner, then you will get a stitch to many if you pick up all the stitches and corners, jump over that last stitch before the corner. That is a good idea. And Virginia talks about that a little bit in her book, and it was just kind of tucked away somewhere, and she says something like, be sure to pick up the corner stitches, otherwise your units will be totally shapeless. And that's true. Those corner stitches, they have a way of really tightening up those edges, and so I would be careful about those. All right, so several weeks, we were talking about the Tarzetto hat saga that I've been working on, and I made 3 or 4 of them, and then, oh yeah, here they are. I'll just show them to you real quick in case anyone is new. I won't go over the details. This is number 1. This was number 2, and number 3, and number 4. I kept trying to make different sizes for like different gauges and needle sizes and head sizes. And I got to this one, and let me show you what it looks like on. It's actually, I turned out pretty well. I dig it. Love this. It's super slouchy. And the last time I showed this, I was very, very discouraged because I had botched it so badly. But let me show you how it turned out. Okay, so what happened is that I had accidentally missed a chunk of the pattern. Like this blue part was supposed to kind of extend, and I was missing a chunk. And it had this big gaping hole in it that I thought was like a huge problem. And it turns out it really wasn't that big of a deal. I just had to fill in some short rows here. So that's it. There we go. Now you can see it. That's it. And then I seamed it up, and it looks great. And it's, it's got kind of a nice effect. So anyway, I kind of dodged a bullet there. Yeah, I like it. And if you want to test this out, let me know, and I'll send you the pattern, because I haven't like, I'll send you the spreadsheet, because basically this is just a spreadsheet at this point. I haven't really like put together a pattern, because the whole thing is like based on a calculator for your stitch count, for your head size, for your needle size, your gauge, all that. But anyway, if you want to try it, let me know. You can email me, kelly@knitswag.com. So that's the Tarzetto hat. Crisis averted. All right, let's talk about the tropical leaf car throw. I have some pictures to show you. I'm still getting used to this computer setup, because this is the first day, and so as a backup, because I wasn't sure if I could get it all to work. As a backup, I printed everything out, which in this case I'm going to have to use, because I don't know what happened to the pictures that I had. At least on my computer, I don't know where they are. But here. Okay, so here is the here's the progress that people have been making. These are the pictures I pulled from the Ravelry page. And so if you go into the Ravelry group, the number knitting Ravelry group, we have a whole thread in there all about the tropical leaf car throw, and some people have been posting in there. And so I just thought I'd show these pictures in case you don't use Ravelry or don't have access to it or whatever. And so this is Cats and Betas, and I love all the bright colors. That's turning out really great. We've also got Abub, and forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that, but this is very subtle. And so I've noticed people are doing it a little bit differently. Like, I decided, like a fool, to say, I'm going to do it differently than what Virginia said. And so, because she specified originally to do these as separate units, to do like unit 1 and then unit 2, and then come back and like fill in these triangles. And of course I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And so I knit my purple like all in one piece. But then as I was doing it, I was realizing, oh, of course she had a reason. She just didn't say, and I should have done it the way she said. But I'm happy that some of you are doing it the way that Virginia said, and that is a good thing. And it looks like most of you are. Karen, she's going to fill in her little units later. I think this is unit 1, 2. I think this is 3 and 4, units 3 and 4. And so everyone's making really good progress on the tropical leaf car throw. And that is still, that knit along is still going until the end of, I believe the end of March is what we decided on that. Let me show you that pattern in the book real quick. So I'm going to bring that back up. I'm digging the switcher. This is so cool. All right, so we're going to look for a tropical leaf. There we go. All right, there's the picture of it that I colorized. So as much as I could for all of the pictures in the book, like for all the flat things like blankets and pot holders and shawls if they were laid out flat, for all the flat things, I tried to add color to them to, like, just kind of bring the book to life. And the colors I chose were the ones that Virginia mentioned in the book. And so, like, normally I wouldn't knit things all that much in green, but she has several green projects in here. And so I was like, I'm sticking with the photos that the colors that she mentioned, which are, I think it's like, she says medium green, light green, and dark green. But if you look at the, there was another one, another pattern that she did called Whirlpool. Yeah, Whirlpool Stole. And she listed totally different colors of green. and they were like chartreuse and apple green and moss green, I think. Oh, and here's the Wheeling Rose. That was one of the pictures in the on the cover of the book. Yeah, and that was also one of the pictures in the magazine article I showed earlier, and that pattern is here in the book. But let me show you, I'm going to go back to where I was, that tropical leaf pattern. There we go. Here it is. And sometimes if she's not quite, like if the main diagram isn't quite clear enough, she'll actually draw like the secondary diagram kind of here at the bottom. Let me see if I can, maybe you can see my mouse a little bit better now. Nope. Oh, it's Acrobat. Anyway, she draws this secondary pattern kind of indicating the shapes as they're supposed to be built up. And it's a little hard to see with the graph paper because the grids on the graph paper are the same. They're black, you know, because the whole book is in black and white. So it's not like there's really shades of gray. And so the grid lines are just like a thinner black line as opposed to like the actual lines of the chart, which are like a slightly thicker black line. So that's another thing I've done in the newly like revised charts is I've made the grid lines gray, and I've made all the like the garter stitch ridges, I've made them all like a wavy kind of a cyan line. And now that I have, I can show you my computer. Let me show you that cardigan. Here we go. I'm going to zoom in, show you that again, so you can see some of the improvements I've made. So the grid lines are like this light gray now, and I think, oh yeah, okay. I've never been able to show anyone this before because I haven't been able to show on my computer. This is so fun. Okay, so all of these charts that I made from scratch, I read all the charts in the whole book. If you open them up in Acrobat and then you click on the layers panel on the left-hand side, all of these, you can turn on and off all the different layers. So you can turn off the grid if you don't want to see it. You can turn, let me scoot this over a little bit better so you can see. You can turn on and off the garter stitch lines, all the all the numbers if the numbers bother you, and you can turn it all on and off. And I've done all of my charts that way. And so, yes, at one point I had renumbered the charts differently. I had numbered the charts and this Hampton cardigan. I'd numbered each of them individually, but I changed it to like numbering as a whole row. But anyway, so you can turn on and off all the bits and pieces here. And so depending upon your level of like experience, like how much hand holding and how much information that you need, you can turn things on and off accordingly. And there may be other knitting charts that do that. I haven't seen any, but then I also haven't looked for any. And so I'm excited to show all of this to you because I worked ridiculously hard on these charts. It is a labor of love to make these charts, and I'm so happy you're here to see them. Finally. This has been a long time coming because I started this in, I think I bought my book in 2015. And so it's been like 8 years now, and I'm finally getting to show people my charts. Love it. Okay, let me see what I have else in my notes. I think that was everything that I had on my agenda today. So next week I'm gonna keep working on my Siri.
I don't understand.
I wasn't talking to you. They're always listening. Oh. It's not talking to her. So I'm gonna keep plugging away on my tropical leaf car throw. It's a good size. I think, yeah, it's about 60 inches, 30, it's about 36 inches. One of my first knitting teachers, she was like my yarn shop owner that I used to, every Saturday for years, several of us would go to her yarn shop and hang out like all day. And to measure anything, she said, all right, hold it by your nose and the other by your arm, and then turn your head to the side. That's 1 yard. And that was, it's like, oh, okay, that's easy. I can do that. I don't know if it's exact, but it's pretty close. So anyway, I'm going to keep working on my tropical leaf car throw. Somehow I have misplaced the already wound skein of this pink yarn, and so I have 2 more skeins that I just need to wind, but I'd rather use one that's already in a ball. But it's probably with my interchangeable needle set somewhere, like, I don't know, and all my spare stitch markers. I don't know. I'll find them eventually. Oh dear. Mishi B says, I bought the book from you about a year ago. Does it have that feature? It does not. So here's the deal. The book, the ebook version that I just showed, or let me show you. Let me show. Let me bring it up so you can see the difference. Okay. This is what is for sale on my website. It is the ebook version. It is the digital version of the hard copy. And my original plan, and it kind of still is, was to just redraw all the charts, done. That took like a year, and then reknit all the items, and I'm on year 7, still working on that, and then to re-photograph everything and relay it out. And over the course of that progression, it became apparent to me, like, oh dear, like, this is really hard. This is a lot of work. And at that point, I think it was like in 2021, Roxanne Richardson mentioned it a couple of times. She mentioned this book on her podcast. And if you haven't, like, I don't know how many other knitting podcasts that you watch, but you got to go watch Roxanne Richardson's. She's a rock star, and she's so smart, and she's like, she knows so much, and she does knitting techniques and also knitting history, and she's amazing. So anyway, she mentioned it on her book, and so I was like, wow, people are like really interested in this. And so I decided, after consulting with an attorney, like, I can actually just put the ebook version up for sale. And so the one that is for sale on my website is the ebook version. And so you will get this with all the thumbnails, with the bookmarks, with the keyword searchable, all that. That being said, the reason I haven't included all the new digital charts with like the graph paper that you can turn on and off is because they're all like, it took me kind of like a learning process to figure out like which file format to use and how to build the files and like which program and like how to construct them. And so some of them are like in the wrong format and some of them are in the new format, and like the whole progression of that process, it took a while. And so they're kind of hodgepodge. But that being said, I have them all available. And so if you have gotten a copy of the ebook and there's any charts in here that you want, you just email me, message me, and I will send you whatever charts that you want. I just don't have them like in a big complete package right now to send, because they're just, I just don't. But I will send you, if you have a copy of the ebook, I will totally send you the charts. That is no problem whatsoever. Another reason I've been a little hesitant, not hesitant, like I'll send you all the charts, that's fine, but I haven't like included them wholesale in the as part of the package, is because I'm not quite sure like how to sort and organize them. And sometimes I have made mistakes, like minor mistakes on redrawing the charts, and I don't catch them until like the pattern has gone through testing. And it's usually not like a very big deal. Like I missed, you know, a number, or like something's numbered wrong, or like the line is going the wrong direction or something. But so anyway, I know that was kind of a long answer to your question, but if you want any charts and you have a copy of the ebook, just email me. I'll totally send them to you. Yes, Roxanne Richardson is the bomb. I love her. She does such great work, and she's such a great, she's a gift to the knitting community. And she's my favorite instructional author. Like if I have any weird knitting techniques that I learn, I'll just go straight to her channel, because like obviously she'll have a tutorial on it. Like, oh, you want to knit tubular knitting in the round with no jog? Yes. You want to have like weird sock shaping? Yes. You want to have not, you know, fix the gapes or the little holes in the gusset in your underarm of your sweaters? Yes. Like she has it all. So because, you know, I'll have my other things, like this is my thing, but Roxanne is just like, she's awesome with techniques and tips, and she does such a great job. So I highly recommend her. Okay, we're at 7:06, and so y'all have your marching orders. You're gonna make an adequate gauge swatch, right? You're gonna wash it. You're gonna block it before you measure. All right, we're gonna take the pledge. I, Kelly, you do solemnly swear. I will start making adequate gauge swatches. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'll just find taller friends to give my stuff to, or like, you know, people with small heads that I can give the little hats to that don't fit me. Anyway, so we're gonna do a good job. We're gonna gauge swatch, and if you've done the tropical leaf garter throw, if you've got pictures, show them. I'm really interested to see what you guys are doing, because like I'm doing it like pretty well, sort of close to the book, as far as like the color, like solid blocks of color, but not everybody is. And I think it would be really interesting to see kind of like what other people are doing, you know, with their color choices, and if they're out of stripes or whatever. And it brings more interest as far as like the possibilities to the patterns. So I look forward to talking with you again next week. Oh, Rose says, is it cheating if I steam them? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think that's cheating. I think that's efficient. Yeah. I would just be sure to let it dry first. But that's a good idea. And I have a steamer. And okay, here's one thing before I go. I have a steamer, and it's like one of those garment steamer things, and it's got like the big hose with the wand, and so you can like hang up your clothes and you can steam it, right? And that works great. But if I have a little, oh, here it is. If I've got this thing that I showed off, I think it was like in episode 1. It's this little, let me show it here, because I can. Boom. It's this little lacy, it's supposed to be a sweater. It's supposed to be out of the book. And of course I made it the wrong size. Why? Because I didn't gauge swatch. And then I tried steaming it and to like stretch the thing out, but I didn't pin it because it was just hanging up on like my garment steamer thing. And so the diagonal is all wrong. And so now I'm thinking I need to like actually pin it down like a real responsible knitter, like pin it onto the board with the pins and then steam it. But I'm not sure how to get my big garment steamer thing to like, it doesn't reach down to the floor. And so I guess if I have those like connectable foam things and I could put it on there and like lean it against the wall, I don't know. If you have any ideas for like how I could properly steam this thing and get the diagonals straight, do tell, because that's why it's been like thrown in a corner for the last couple months, because I just don't know what to do with this. All right, good, you've all taken the pledge. You're gonna gauge swatch. Say it with me. I promise I will swatch. Okay. All right, well this has been super fun. Thanks again for coming, and yeah, for not bailing out on me when my tech was so bad. And it's just going to get better. So thanks again, ladies and gents, if we have any, and see you next week. Mwah! Bye. Where is it? There's a button here that I can press. Oh, look at this. Bam! All right. Thanks, folks.